We'll do now the 25th Maimer in Maimori Meluket in Chelik Gimel. This is the Maimer of Achron Shel Pesach and Tovshin Yud Beis. And the Maimer is K'mei Tzaischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim Aránu Niflois. It says over here in the Star that this Maimer was published in the Kuntres, in a booklet for Achron Shel Pesach Tovshin Nun. That was in honor of the last days of Pesach in Tovshin Nun. The date is Yom Beis Parsha Shmini Erev Chag Pesach Shnasei Tovshin Nun, that they published this Maimer that the Rebbe said in Tovshin Yud Beis on Achron Shel Pesach. So now we'll do the Maimer inside. K'mei Tzeischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim Aránu Niflois. Just as the days that you went out from Egypt, the Eibishter says, I will show you wonders. So we need to understand Hare Geula ha'asido tiya nailis harbe yoser meha geula di yitzias Mitzrayim. The future redemption will be much greater than the redemption of the exodus of Egypt. Here the Pasuk is telling us that just like the days you went out of Mitzrayim, I'll show you wonders, but the wonders, the Geula Hasidah, is much greater than the Geula, the Yitzias Mitzrayim. And that's also the reason, Shalochein, and therefore, for that reason, because the Geula is going to be much greater, Lifi Das ben Zoyma, according to the opinion of Ben Zoyma, Ein Mazkirin Yitzias Mitzrayim b'Yemei HaMashiach. We will not mention the exodus of Egypt when Mashiach comes in the days of Mashiach, because it's not going to be anything to talk about, because we're going to be living in an era which is much greater than Yitzias Mitzrayim. So there's nothing to talk about Yitzias Mitzrayim. When we're in Golus, we talk about the miracles of Yitzias Mitzrayim. But when we live in the time of Yemei HaMashiach and the miracles of Yemei HaMashiach, there will be no mention of Yitzias Mitzrayim, according to Ben Zoyma. And also, Gam Ledas Chachomim Shemazkirin Yitzias Mitzrayim b'Yemei HaMashiach, and even according to the view of the Chachomim, that we do mention Yitzias Mitzrayim in the days of Mashiach. It's not that Yitzias Mitzrayim is greater, but we'll mention it. The Vishayesh Maila Yitzias Mitzrayim Gam Legabe Gula Hasidah. That is just because there is an advantage, there is a Maila in the exodus of Egypt, even relative to the future redemption. But Hagula, but still, even according to the Chachamim, Agula, the Yitzias Mitzrayim, Tfela Ligula Hasidah. Still, it's going to be secondary to the future redemption. So, why does the pasuk over here emphasize K'mei Tzeischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim, that it's like the days of Exodus of Egypt, but it's much greater than the time of the Exodus of Egypt? So what is it that he is saying? K'mei Tzeischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim Aránu Niflois. Just like the days you went out of Egypt, I will show you miracles, which means Shaha'ilui de Geula ha'asidahu. So what is the advantage of the future redemption? Shegam oz yiyah aránu niflois k'mo shehoyu b'mitzias Mitzrayim. That then too, I will show you miracles as it was by the exodus of Egypt. When the Geula Hasidah is much greater than Yitzias Mitzrayim. So why is the pasuk telling us over here, Aránu Niflois, like the days you left Mitzrayim? Also, we need to understand, the pasuk specifically says, Aránu niflois. It doesn't say I will do niflois, but it says I will show you the niflois. So that means that the main advantage of the future redemption, it is not in the miracles themselves that will be then, or the wonders that will be then, the greatness is that Hashem will show them because the pasuk specifically says, or else the pasuk should have said, as an niflois, or I'll do the miracles that I make, that I perform. But here it says Aránu, that the advantage is to show that the Eibishter will show the niflois. Also, we need to understand why it says Aránu, I will show him, instead of Aráko, I will show you. Loshen Nister, he says Aránu, I will show him Loshen Nister. But the pasuk starts off by saying kìmי צאתך, talking direct, l'noichach, talking to the and say loshen noichach, the days that you went out. So it should have said in the end, it would seem Aráko, I will show you. Now in the Zohar it says Aránu, I will show him. That is to Moshe Rabbeinu. But how does that fit with the pshat? And this that it says the Zohar. The Ma'ashekosu Aránu Loshen Nister, that when it says Aránu in a Loshen Nister, who the Kishar Enu Koyal Moshe, because Aránu is not going K'mei Tzeisko to the Yidden, but Aránu him is on Moshe Tzorich Biur. So we need to explain Hakesher the Pirush Zeh, how to connect, to tie this interpretation. Im hapirush kipshute, with the simple meaning, shar enu koyi al Yisrael, that Aránu goes on the Yid. So what's the point of the explanation in here? The benisim yesh b'chlolu shnei sugim. That generally there's two categories when we talk about miracles. There is nisim shelamayla mehateva, miracles that are higher, above nature, such as, for example, kihan nisim shehoyu b'yitzias Mitzrayim, as the miracles that were when we exited Egypt. We had the miracle of Hafichas, the water turned to blood, and up till the nace of splitting of the sea. It was a miracle. The ocean turned into dry land. So that's one category, is nisim, which are above nature, and then you have the nisim hamluboshim b'darkei hateva. Then you have the nisim which are dressed in the ways of nature. So there is within Ubahem Gufa, and within the miracles that are dressed in nature, some you can't even tell at all, and some you can tell even though they're natural. Ubahem Gufa Shnei Ifanim, and in the miracles of nature, there's two levels. Shelavushei hateva heim be'ofen shenikar, that these garments of nature are in such a way that you can tell that they're only a garment to the miracle that dresses up in it. So you can see that there is a miracle there, a miracle dressed up, and this is only a dress up for that miracle. Kenisim the Chanukah Purim, like the miracles of Chanukah and Purim, which, while there were miracles, but they were dressed up also in the nature. So notwithstanding the fact that they were dressed in the ways of nature, And yet you can see openly, to the extent that all of the people that inhabit the land, so everybody can see there's a miracle in them. So that's one level within nature, but everybody can see that there's a miracle dressed in them. And then there's a second step, and that the garments of nature obscure the miracle that is dressed in them. That's the second level in which you can't tell that there's a miracle. It's known the Shoirish Hanisim Hamluboshim Beteva, Umimokim Naila Yeser Mishoirish Hanisim Shalamaila Mahateva. That the root of the miracles that are dressed in nature comes from a higher place than the root of the Nisim that are higher in Teva. Beshoirish Hanisim and within the Tava itself, those the root of the Nisim that are addressed in Tava. In a way that you can't even tell that the garments of Tava are just a garment. That miracle is even from a higher place. That means that the less that we can tell that it's a miracle, the higher it comes from. Like we say in the pasuk, the one who does these great wonders by himself. Razal, our sages say about this, even the one who the miracle happens with him, he does not recognize his ness. Hashem does the wonders levade, all by himself. So where is the root of these neflois, these wonders? In which the one who the miracle happens does not recognize the nes, who mibechinas levade. That comes from the level of levade. The flois of levade. So this is the chidish that in the geula asida, it will be Aránu niflois. So what is it? Ki haniflois shebegula hasido yumshuchu mimenu yizbarach levade, because the wonders of the Geula Hasida will come from him levade. Kemay merazal, and still Aránu, these niflois that are higher, they come from levade, will be revealed. Kemay merazal, as our sages of blessed memory say, Lisha Ovar b'Yitzias Mitzrayim, in the past. When we were talking about the exodus of Egypt, Ani ubeis dini hayisim halach lifneim, it was me and my courthouse would be walking amongst them. But in the future to come, it won't be no bezdin ani levade. It will be just ani levadi, just Hashem alone. That nisim shohayu b'Yitzias Mitzrayim, the miracles that took place by Yitzias Mitzrayim, nimshachim imenu yizbarach derech beis dinei, they extended from him blessed through his beis din. But the miracles which is in the future redemption, yiyu mimenu levadi, that will be just from Hashem, shelo yalidei beis dinei, and not through the Beis Din, which means it's going to be in a way of levade. That's what the meaning of levade, meaning is just Hashem himself. Not even the Beis Din gets involved. So now we see the chiddush of Aránu, that even that level which is higher, which is levade, will come down at Aránu. And this is the novelty of Aránu niflois. Hagam shan niflois hanim shochim mimenu yizbarach levade. although that those niflois that usually come just from Menali Baruch Levade by himself, it's only that he alone knows that it's a miracle. Still, it'll be Aran Niflois. So that it will be seen openly, the miracle that's in them, that's going to be that Aراנו to reveal the miracle of the highest level of the Levade, which normally cannot be visible, but that will be the Chiddush, that Aránu Niflois, I will show you these Niflois. Base, it's known the diuk. The question that it says, Masha Kosuv, Kimei Tseischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim, as the days that you left Egypt. Why are we saying as the days in a plural when Yitzias Mitzrayim was essentially just one day? Kimei is Loshen Rabbi. Hare Yitzias Mitzrayim Hoyso B'Yemecha, the Exodus Egypt wasn't one day. Ubeschiras Yitzias Mitzrayim Ksiv and Take, when it talks about remembering the Exodus of Egypt, it says one day. Zocher es hayom hazeh asher yitzosem Mitzrayim. Remember this day, not Yemei, the one day that you went out of Mitzrayim. Or the other pasuk says Laman tizkor as yom tzeischa beretz Mitzrayim. The day, remember the day, not the days. Laman tizkimei yom tzeischa beretz Mitzrayim. So why does the pasuk say here Ki Yimei Loshen Rabim? It says Ki Yimei in the Loshen Rabim, that the plural days of Exodus of Egypt. So we can say the explanation in this, that why does it say plural? That there's 2 days, because it also includes not just the one day of Exodus of Egypt, but also the day also includes the miracle of splitting of the sea. Now, this applies all the time. We include, but the main thing is the day of Exodus, but the included in it is also the splitting of the sea. The same thing is true in the midst of remembering the Exodus of Egypt every day. Part of it included is also remembering the splitting of the sea. Same thing is true for the relating the story of the Exodus of Egypt, the night of Pesach, that we say the Kol Hamarvel Saper B'Yitzias Mitzrayim Harezeh Meshubach. Anyone who increases relating the story of the Exodus of Egypt is praiseworthy. So then Shagam Sipur Kriyas Yamsuf Nichlo Mazeh, that includes also the story of splitting of the sea. When we talk about the Exodus of Egypt, includes the story what happened by the splitting of the sea. That's why it says Kimei, like the days in a plural, Kimei Loshen Rabim, in a plural, because of the 2 days. How come we say sometimes Yoim, we brought the Psukim before? It means that could be Yoitze with 1 day, but L'chatchila includes both. And this that it taught when the pasuk says, remember, it says Mitzrayim, it says Yoim Tzeischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim, just says in a singular. Because the main mitzvah of remembering the Exodus of Egypt is Chiras Yitzias Mitzrayim Atzma, that is just remembering the Exodus of Egypt itself. Uschiras Kriyas Yamsuf Eino Me'akeves, and mentioning the Exodus, the splitting of the sea, would not hold back the mitzvah of remembering the Exodus of Egypt. But it's included. Pirush Kimei Tzeitzcha Meretz Mitzrayim Aden Niflosu. So what is the meaning of Kimei Tzeitzcha Meretz Mitzrayim Aden Niflosu? Shebegula Hasida Yi Yohannisim Vaniflois Shahoyu B'Mitzias Mitzrayim Atzmo. So like the days of Eretz Yisrael Shalom miracle, that in the Gula Hasida there will be a combination, the miracles and the wonders that were in the Exodus of Egypt itself. Gam Hanez Vapela the Kriyas Yamsuf, and also the miracle and the wonder of splitting of the sea, Kimei, like both days that took place then. Kosu, as the Pasuk says, Vehecherim Havayes L'Shoin Yam Mitzrayim, and Hashem will remove the tongue of the Egypt, the sea, meaning he'll make it into dry land, and that will be the pathway as it was for the Yidna the day that they went up from Mitzrayim. So Rebbe said that so we need to understand the connection between these two ideas that we're saying over here. We're saying on one hand, we bring down the Neflois. So when we say Neflois, first we're saying that also those miracles, Neflois, that come from Levade, that will be in a way that it will, I'll show you, which means that they will be able to recognize the miracle. They will see the miracle in them. And the second thing, we're talking and that in the miracles that will be in the future redemption, that will also have the wonder of Kriyas Yamsuf included in the niflaos of the Geula Hasid. Ois Gimel. In Ois Gimel, the Rebbe explains what's the reason that the nisim that are dressed in Teva come from a higher place than the nisim that are open, that are above Teva. Gimel. The Yuvan Zebahagdim will understand this by first introducing the Zeshe Shoirish Hanisim Ham Luboshim B'Teva. This that we say that the root of the miracles which are dressed in Teva, they come from a higher place. Than the root of the Nisim that are above Teva, who the reason is because when the miracle is above Teva, then the revelation of the Ein Sof that is infinite, that is higher than worlds, from which the Nisim come, that comes in a way that the nature is bottled through the revelation. That means that the revelation is that means that the nature becomes bottled through the revelation. Shidud marchois hateva. It robs the arrangement of nature. There's no nature, it robs. It changes the nature into a nes ubemela, a nimshach hagilu ba'olam. So the revelation does not come down in the world. It robs the world. It's shidud marchateva, but not within the world. Ubanisim hamulaboshim b'teva, but the miracles that are dressed in nature, hagilu the Ein Sof habligvul shalamayla ma'iluma, is the revelation of the Ein Sof bligvul, which is harder than the ilumas. Hu b'ho'ilam atzmei, it comes in the world itself. Avikivan sha'o'ilam atzmei hu gvul, since the world itself is limited. The gvul or bligvul am shnei afochim, gvul and bligvul limited and unlimited are two opposite. L'chein b'chdei sha'gilui the Ein Sof Ablikvul Yeh Bakvul Da'olam. In order for the revelation of the Ein Sof Ablikvul to come down into the limitation of the world, Hu al Yidei Shamshochas Ablikvul Hima Atzmus Ein Sof. That is that the Amshoch Ablikvul comes from the essence of the Ein Sof, Shenimtza B'chol Mokim. That is everywhere. Gam Bagvul V'Teva Da'olam. That's also in the limitations and the nature of world. So, in order to accomplish the connection of Gavul Bligvul, it has to come from Atzmus Ein Sof, which is also in Gavul and Tava. It's one explanation. Another explanation, B'mailas Hanisim HaMelaboshim B'Teva, Legabe Hanisim Shalamaylam HaTeva, the advantage of the miracles that are dressed in nature relative to the nisim that are above Tava. The inyan hanisim hu al yodom izgala shehu yizbarach moishel v'shoyel ala Tava. The idea of a miracle is that through the miracle it's revealed that Hashem dominates and rules over nature. The inyan zeh mizgala yoser b'hanisim ha'melaboshim b'Tava. That idea that Hashem dominates nature is more in the miracles that address the nature. The Gilui Mem Shalti is Baruch Alidei Nisim Shalom Ma'ila Mahatava, the revelation of Hashem's dominance through miracles that are above nature. Husha v'koicha yizbarich levatel l'shadides chuki hateva. That means that Hashem, in His blessed power, is to negate and to rob the rules of nature. Nisim shameluboshim b'teva. But the miracles which are dressed in nature, Mizgala, over there it's revealed that He dominates and rules the Teva itself. He doesn't to rob Teva. He doesn't have to mevatl it. He doesn't have to negate it, but rather He rules over it. So that the Teva, the nature, should be according to the Ratzon of the Eibishter.